probably from Enfield and over 35 if you recognize this man here. This is James King from the Summers Mountain Indian Museum. It was a cool little place over in Turnpike Road over in Summers. He had tomahawks, he had tom-toms, uh, arrowheads, Indian hats, Indian gowns, Indian pipes, Indian this, Indian that, you name it, he had it. He had more kinds of arrowheads than you could even imagine. Uh, parents used to, parents from Enfields used to bring their kids up there and share with them these cool artifacts like this breastplate here, made of bone. This museum was put together by James King in his private home. He started it in 1930, and this is his personal collection that he had on display for the public. And it was a true cultural hub for uh, Indian artifacts. I remember I loved just looking around at all the different Indian stuff, especially the arrowheads and the pots, the beads, and he loved to show it around. There were a few scary things like these masks there. I didn't want to look at those too much. The Indian masks were kind of scary. But then you had the scary guy in the corner too. But James King, it was really cool to have his museum around. Unfortunately, he died in 1985, and the museum went downhill from there. But thank you, James King.
Lived all around the east. They lived in bark houses. Now they call them the bark log houses. There's 3 or 4 families that lived in them, and they divide them off. Now we didn't have that kind of bark around here. They floated it down the Connecticut River, or the Hudson River, or the Merrimack River from up north. And then when the bark was wet, they had the frames all built. Then they could take the wet bark and lace it on top of the frame. And they started from the bottom and worked up, just like lapping shingles. Now these houses are very warm in the winter, because bark is very insulating. And in the winter they're warm, and in summer they're cool. Now the Indians had the first central heating system in America. They'd dig a hole in the ground in them, build a fire, and when they got a lot of charcoal, they would place a flat stone over it, and they could cook on it like a stove. And then it kept the ground warm and kept the ground dry.
Okay.
Now, the Indians around here didn't have bark canoes, because the bark wasn't strong enough. They made dugouts like they did on the right. Now, they'd pound the top of them logs and strip it off, and then they build a fire on it. And then they moved that fire up and down, and the women would take wet moss and go around the outside of it so it wouldn't burn through. They could govern the depth of the burning. Then they could chop it out with a stone axe or a stone chisel. And the bark canoes they had around here, they traded with the Indians up north.
Okay, so would you stop for just a second?
Yeah. You don't want to say report?
No, just you start from where you were.
Well, now the Indians around here, this part of the country, was the Pequots from Springfield to Hartford. And they were very religious. They were driven into war by the Narragansetts. Otherwise, they were very, very friendly. And this was built on the old campground in Glastonbury, Connecticut. Shows the Connecticut River running out there, and there's the river here running into it. That's about it.
Okay. Focusing.
No, I just want to zoom in and focus so that I can zoom in and out.
Okay.
steadily, which I didn't.
I want to
do
check
that time.
something out. Why don't you hold this for a second? Bring it over.
Oh, you do that really well.
Bring it over here, Fred.
Ace ein.
Okay. Where's that other headset, Mark?
That picture's been all over the world.
There's a little switch on there that has 2 lines,
Yeah.
1 line, and 3 lines. Put it on 1 line and point it at my mouth. Is that 1 line?
Yeah.
Okay, put it on 2 lines. 2 lines. Testing, testing, 3 lines. Testing, 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 testing. It's probably best on 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then probably should just go with him.
Can I shoot some of this?
second to do this.
Here we go.
Now, no Indian ever wore a bonnet like that. That's a glorified bonnet by Buffalo Bill. He gave a prize to the Indians that could make the best looking bonnet for show work. Now, you couldn't years ago wear a bonnet like that in a longhouse. You had to wear your roach or your head bonnet. They wouldn't allow one of them in the longhouse because it's a white man's creation.
Okay.
This shirt is an old Sioux war shirt. It's chewed leather. The women chewed the leather. They didn't chew it like you'd chew steak. They munched it more, and then they done it when the leather was fresh. They didn't wait till it got old. Therefore, it was very easy and it was soft to do. Now, the fancy work on this is porcupine quill work. That's when they use porcupine quills and seashells, pieces of hoofs, and things like that for decorating before beads were brought in America. This shirt here is approximately 175 years old. Beautiful piece of work. Now, a lot of people don't know why they put fringe on their clothing. Well, if you was out in the rain and your coat got wet, it would take hours to dry that coat. But the Indians put the fringe on, and gravity takes the water down. It gets on that fringe and shakes off. It bleeds the leather. That's the reason for the fringe on their clothing.
Okay.
Old Sioux war shirt. It's chewed leather. The women chewed the leather. They didn't chew it like you'd chew steak. They munched it more, and then they done it when the leather was fresh. They didn't wait till it got old. Therefore, it was very easy and it was soft to do. Now, the fancy work on this is porcupine quill work. That's when they use porcupine quills and seashells, pieces of hoofs, and things like that for decorating before beads were brought in America. This shirt here is approximately 175 years old. Beautiful piece of work. Now, a lot of people don't know why they put fringe on their clothing. Well, if you was out in the rain and your coat got wet, it would take hours to dry that coat. But the Indians put the fringe on, and gravity takes the water down. It gets on that fringe and shakes off. It bleeds the leather. That's the reason for the fringe on their clothing.
Okay. What's going through your mind right now as you're looking at that piece of chewed rawhide?
Well, you want me to talk about it?
Well, sure, but I was just wondering what was going through your mind as you were looking at it.
Well, years ago, when I got that, it's an old Sioux jacket. You taking it down?
Pardon me?
Are you taping it?
No, I was just wondering what you were thinking.
I don't want to butt it on the other.
Oh, no, that's okay. See, because, whatever we...
An old Sioux government scout suit showing you when he got shot in the arm, went out through his back. When I got that, it was covered with blood. But I washed it, and there's only the sleeve on the left that shows blood still in it. Now that has the fringe also on it to drain the water off it. It's all chewed leather. And if you notice the beads, they're old. The first seed beads come in America were very dark. 1865, they begin to come in with the bright colors. Now this right beside of it is an unborn deer. They take them, turn them inside out, clean them, wash them, then they put dry moss in and drop the baby in it. And they got natural oils all the time. It have burns and such thing as that, like the children do today.
Okay.
Put those things on the side there.
But that's high.
Got these things on the side right over here.
Oh, that's a belt bag. They kept their tobacco and stuff, and arrows and stuff like that. So those are the Sioux women's leggings.
Okay. All right. Do you think you could tell us a little bit about that?
Well, this other case has got a lot of them in it.
Okay. Whatever you'd like.
Yeah. Those are Sioux beaded boxes, all beaded boxes. The ones that are beaded on the bottom, those are ceremonial boxes. This is how they made their doorways and their beds. Whoa.
All right. What is that made out of?
Willow. Or
Willow.
anything they could use, yes.
Okay.
We used to use branches. I used to like to get pine or that, and you cut off the ends and you lay them down so that you're covering up the stems on them all the time. You got a good bed. It's
Right.
beautiful for a cold. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm turning you on for a second, Mark.
All right.
I have to plug this thing in over here.
Okay.
I collected when I was 8 years old. I come from a very poor family, and anything was given to me, I thought the world of it. And when I got into school, I see they were all interested in the Indians, so I kept on. I never dreamt I'd have a museum then, but I'd never get rid of anything that Indians give me or anything I bought from them. And I have the first piece of beadwork made by Chief Jesse Lyon's wife and the underdog of reservation. I had an old Ingersoll watch, and she made a watch fob, but she put JK, KJ, King James issue on it, and it's still in the case there. Yeah? I have to point at something to look at the camera. What you
Oh, it's okay. You just feel feel relaxed in whatever you do. You don't have to look anywhere that you don't want to. It doesn't matter where you look.
Well, I think we ought to get this if possible.
Okay.
That's a lost art. That's our birch bark fighting. That was presented to me. I never collected any of that. That was lost art years ago. And this was presented to me. Yeah.
Who was it presented to you by?
Well, the name is on there. I can't read it.
Oh, okay. If we can stop for a second, I'll read it. Okay, anytime you're ready, Mr. Kane.
Now this is what they call a poncho. It's solid beaded. It took 3 years and 7 months to make. That's made by a Cheyenne Indian woman. And they put their head through it and hung down the front, down the back, and laced down the side. And I want you to notice the beads. That was done around 1862, because 1865, the bright beads come into existence. And also notice they had trademarks. This papoose board belonged to Big Tree. He's one of the Indians that posed for the nickel. And he asked me to keep it for him. And he says, when I pass on, he says, you keep it. So I still have it. That's the kind of papoose board they use around this part of the country. They roll the baby up in a blanket or a hide, laced it on there, tied it on.
And what is that piece that looks like a broom there?
Oh, that was made down in New Mexico. That's for flies and stuff, and I had no place to put it to show, so I hung it up there.
Okay. Those snowshoes, are those from Eskimos?
Oh, those were made for me when I was 14 years old, but they wouldn't let me use these. These are for distance speed. Those are for bear paws are for deep snow. And I was such a little fellow, they thought sure I'd fall in a snowbank. They wouldn't find me. I'd get too far away.
Okay.
These moccasins here was presented to me by a student from Lapland, showing how they had plans and how they're made. Yeah.
Okay, Mark, do you think you could get down on your knees just in front of Mr. King so that you
Oh, yeah? That's the Sioux carrier. This doll of this is about 150 years old. Old English doll made out of clay. Some missionary had cut it down so the little girl could play with it.
Okay.
That covers out here, I guess.
Where did you acquire the Sioux beaded?
Oh, I traveled around and I had and put on the powwows and the shows. I had Indians from all different tribes, old timers, and if they had something I wanted at the end of the season, I'd offer to buy it off them. That's how it keep on building up, building up. But most of the old timers are dead now.
How long would you say it's taken you to? When did you start?
I started collecting when I was 8, and I'm 85 now, almost 80 years ago.
Great.
You see, all the good stuff is in the East because that's where the money was, and they sold it in the East here.
Mm-hmm.
They never dreamt they'd have museums out West or anything.
Are those
This is an old English poster that they used to put up to get the people all excited so they'd kill the Indians off. They never passed a law in this country against shooting Indians till way in the 1800s.
Who do you recall how that came about? The law being passed?
Well, it was they petitioned Congress and they passed the law. A lot of the churches and all was opposed to it. And they had then practically all the land under control, the English and the French. See, it was the English that taught the Indians how to scalp. They didn't scalp anybody. And the only ones that scalp would be the ones that are dead. They wouldn't scalp a white man, man alive.
You have a very interesting piece that's just above those snowshoes, right over there.
Oh,
is that
yeah.
carved out of wood or is that out of stone?
Oh, up there?
Mm-hmm.
And that was presented to me by a doctor at Glastonbury. That's wood.
Do you know what its origin is?
It's Indian, I think. It tells you on it. I can't remember just exactly.
Okay. Okay, let's stop rolling for just a second. And that What is it?
That's the equivalent of arrows I found in Colorado.
Okay. All right, we'd like to just do a little bit of a playback, see how we're making out here. I mean, with our technical stuff, all right?
That big pot up there I found in Pennsylvania, it was 3/4 full of corn, it's sealed on the top. And I planted some of it out here, and it grew to about 3.5 feet tall. Ears are about 6 inches long, 5 inches long.
Mm-hmm.
But the corn was beautiful, sweet as honey. Yeah.
The Indian corn didn't grow as high as the...
No, because it's cultivated. Everything that is grown today is cultivated, and they use different kinds of fertilizer, encourage it to grow like tobacco and everything else. So now they grow the corn 8 feet high, some of it, and more, and because they figure they get more corn on it, they use it for grain and everything else, but they lost the sweetness of the corn by doing it.
Oh.
Yeah. And one morning I got up, I walked up the river, and the belly of that was sticking out of the banking. And I dug it out on the banking, and in back of it, I got this one. Dr. Myers of Smithsonian had listed these things.
How did he listed them for archival?
Age, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But them are the two best I ever found in Connecticut.
You did a lot of digging yourself, I understand.
Oh gosh, yeah. No, like,
That doesn't matter, it's light enough in here. Where did you find most of the things that you found?
all over the United States.
You did quite a lot of cave exploring. You were telling me the last
Oh
time.
yes, I went in every one I could find. Anybody told me about, but a lot of them, the stuff had been taken out of them. And sometimes you'd find something they skipped. But most of it they found is cleaned out. Don't know what of it become of the stuff that they got out of some of them.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, tell me when you're ready.
All right, I'm ready.
This is what they call a spirit of the woods. This Indian head was formed by nature on a branch of a tree in Maine. And wherever the Indians found anything like that in the woods, that woods was taboo, sacred ground. No hunting was allowed. They thought the Great Spirit watching over the game to breed for food. After they got old enough, went away from their mother, they went out of that woods where then you could shoot them for food.
Okay. Spirit of the woods.
If you have good luck and the picture turned out good, I'll have you over to the Rotary some night or so.
Enjoy that? Yes, we would enjoy that.
Oh, those are horn scrapers. See, these horns are thousands of years old. They take the horn when they're fresh and they bend them, and they use them for hide scrapers.
Mm-hmm. And this is a part of the tanning process.
Yeah.
What did they actually use to cure the
Nothing. Nothing.
They just let it dry in the sun?
No, they wore it and kept it soft. They chewed it, and the saliva, and then the oils, as they chewed the leather, the oils went in their mouth. As they kept on chewing, the oils would go back in. And I think the saliva made it spread more and more oil. And I think that's why it preserves it so long. Sure.
Okay.
Beautiful stuff. Like a deep sea scorpion, I got on top of the mountains in Pennsylvania. I found a lot of fossils on top of the mountain, Pennsylvania, New York State. I used to bring them home and give away.
Hey, George.
Yes, that's the war club. That's for the Cree Indians. It's the war club.
And the other war club that's hanging over there, what
This over the window
is a...
is a plow. They use it cutting sugar cane. They use it for splitting wood. They use it for a war club. It's made out of teak wood. That's South America.
South American Indian?
Yeah.
I see you have quite a bit of necklaces and the like over
Oh,
there.
that's all wampum.
Wampum?
Sure, that's what the white people had also. That's what he had. Didn't have any money.
They traded with this.
They was trading, yeah. Them stone beads are 2,000 to 4,000 BC.
Did you find those?
No, those were presented to me.
Was there, okay.
There's gold nuggets in there, no, but I don't want that on TV. They robbed it up.
Right.
I
Okay.
was warned by the New York papers to don't tell anybody they're gold nuggets.
Right.
Because it says you have them breaking in here and stealing that today.
Oh yeah, that's true. We're going to be very careful about that type of thing.
You see, here's your first chalk and glass beads in America are the big ones. Then they got smaller. Then they got smaller, and then the porcelain beads come in. They wasn't made in America. They were imported. The dark ones are the old French trade beads. Then they use seashells. They wove some. They use claws of crabs. They use teeth. They use finger bones. They use bear claws. Everything you can think of.
Okay. Why don't you come up here for a second? Now, which ones were claws? Okay, those ones are claws over there, right? Okay, why don't you come over here, Ray, and get a real close-up of that white piece with, right here, bear claw.
Bone and bear claw.
Bone and bear claw. And, okay, we don't want the gold nuggets one.
Take the whole picture. They'll think they're French trade beads, but look at the color of the French trade beads and look at the color of the gold. Shows up, don't it?
Yeah.
Then they use teeth, claws of crabs, finger bones, and bear claws. Stone. That's a beautiful collection.
I guess so. So,
I just had a company here yesterday to fix these cases and stop them stealing stuff.
how did they fix it?
Oh, they took iron and drilled it, screwed it out of the doors with its back so they can't open it. Gee, that fellow was strong. I couldn't help him lift.
So you think everything's okay now?
That cane up over the top there is a condolence cane. They use that when the medicine man goes in, anybody's sick or tired.
It's like a wand?
Well, they turn the rugs over with it all like that, you know. They don't use their hands to get the evil spirits so he won't have any place to hide.
Great.
They open the window so he can fly the hell out.
Speaking about evil spirits, is that a false face mask over there in the corner?
The Indian medicine business fast, Iroquois.
Did they call that false face mask? Because I see that.
Yeah, that's right.
Could you tell us a little bit about?
I will when you get the cameras over that way to take a picture of them.
Okay.
Hold on, man. Where are we?
Right over here.
Get the light over there. Oh, these maps?
Yep.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, hold on. Let me get another light over here, okay?
Yeah.
Well, it's really interesting. I'm learning a whole lot. I never even knew that there were that many Indians around here.
Oh, I had 37 families living in town here.
Right?
This is my headquarters, put on powwows and stuff like that, shows.
Hold on a second, Phyllis.
Okay. Okay, we were talking about, Rick? Okay. We're talking about the Iroquois.
Light over here. Hold on, here. You gonna talk about the maps here?
Yeah. These are all
These on the
no, you can go on.
Iroquois medicine man's fast. That's how they make their medicine turn. How they stretch their head. It's made out of the fat and turn, the rock. Now, the high mask is the black mask.
What did they use these masks for?
In case of sickness, Indian doctor. In case of sickness, they'd come in and scare out the evil spirit. They figured they'd come in with a cane like a condolence cane, and he goes in and he turns over everything, open the windows first, and then they get a fire in the stove with hardwood ashes, and then they take the condolence cane, turn all the rugs or mats over so that there won't be any evil spirits hiding, and then they go over the stove and they put their hands in the hardwood ashes. Then they come over to one that's sick, wherever you're sick, they rub it on them.
I see. And the ashes were supposed to drive out the evil spirit?
Yeah.
Well, what did they think that was the property of the ashes that was to drive out the evil spirit?
Well, ashes were used a lot of different ways by the Indians, hardwood ashes.
What different
Even
ways?
in their cooking.
Oh, yeah?
Oh,
For seasoning?
sure.
And what did they use it like pepper or salt and?
Well, it's like we use for shortening and stuff like that. Sure.
What else did they use ashes for?
Oh, God, I can't remember offhand all the different things they did. I know I got a bird one day, and they used the ashes on it.
You
Takes out the pus too, you know. Dries out the pus. Yeah.
Did they use different types of trees for
Hardwood ashes are all burned the same as, I guess. I never heard of any special. Pine and that stuff was only good for making corn syrup and pine needle tea and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Certain pines. So, you can buy today a corn syrup that has pine in it. Sure. Now there's your only Indian saddle ever found in the East. Ever known found in the East. Now that has a wooden frame covered with leather. Where the one on that end, this one I found in Cannonball River, North Dakota, they have a bone frame covered with leather. And I want you to notice the saddle bags beaded on both sides, solid beaded. This oldest one was porcupine quills, but they're all rotting, falling apart.
Just move something up.
Okay, why don't you get a broader shot?
Okay, good. And move some of the window, move where I come from.
Okay, fine.
I gotta get in here.
So you covered that pretty good.
What were these saddles made out of?
Oh, the only one that known found in the East has a wooden frame. When the two found near Cannonball River, North Dakota, they have a bone frame. And I want you to notice the width of this saddle. The wild horses they call razorbacks.
One would think that it would be an awful rough ride with such a hard.
Well, they didn't ride them like they do their saddles today. When I was a kid, I see them use them more for pack saddles. Now and then you see an old timer ride his back. But they didn't use them like our saddles today.
Do you think you could tell us a little bit about your childhood and were you raised in an Indian village or were you raised more with a white man?
Oh, that'd be a separate story on my history in Connecticut.
Uh-huh.
Sure, that makes it in very well. We keep on the Indian stuff and then you can do that first.
Expand on it later?
Sure.
Okay.
Hold it for a while?
Huh? Can I hold it for a while?
Sure, go ahead. That was fun.
What?
Just shooting like that.
Okay. I understand that you have the biggest arrowhead collection.
no good. I'm shooting. Yeah, I had a little trouble with glare too, but I thought we could use it for one shot maybe.
This is your only known listed arrow set in America.
Okay.
It covers from Alaska to the pyramids of Mexico. Every state in the Union, Canada included. That was started in 1812. Now, no one man would ever live to do that. He wouldn't travel around like that and dig them up. I think it's 5 different names on them. But they're all in the same family that followed up on it. Yeah.
Now, is
It's
there
a beautiful collection.
I guess so. Do you think that you could, I hate to say this, but I don't think that we got the first part of what you said on tape. If you could say what you began with is this is the only complete collection.
Yeah. This is the only complete listed set of arrowheads in America that I know. And I had been from Washington, said the same thing. This covers from Alaska to the pyramids of Mexico. Every state in the Union, Canada included. And that was started in 1812. It took about 5 different men that completed that. Yeah.
Is there any difference or likeness for different areas of the country? Because I see a bunch of white ones and black ones. And
You can't tell by that because the Indians traded. They went on a hunt and run out of arrows. They met another Indian. They traded. That's what brought a lot of stone east. I got obsidian that didn't belong around this part of the country, New Mexico and Mexico. And I dug up arrows made out of coral, what they had in Florida. And some of the fish scales they used.
Is any kind of arrow common to a particular area, like in the east or the west?
Pretty hard to do. And to talk about arrows is a separate thing entirely. You don't want to mix them up when you're explaining why they sharpen this and why they make them this way and that way. That's a separate story.
Did different tribes have different sets of skills and stuff that they in turn?
They were tradesmen. All Indians couldn't make arrows. Around here, when you was 12 years old, they'd give you a bow and arrow. And you'd go out to hunt. And if you didn't come back in a certain length of time, they went out after you. See? Then you tried in something else. And at the end, if you didn't make good at anything, you become a warrior. Sure. That's what they're thinking of doing in this country. They do that in a lot of the countries, only they talk about it in a little different way, you know.
So, when they didn't come back, was it because they were afraid an animal got them, or?
Yeah, or they didn't have the eyesight to shoot, all different reasons. No doubt they made mistakes too, you know. And an arrow maker, there's very few Indians could make arrows. They had their own arrow makers. That's why you find along the river and places like that little heaps of chips. But they hid their arrows. You have to look around, see where they hid them, and then you find some good arrows, new ones. These spoons at the bottom of this case, some are made out of wood, some are horn, some are bone. This one I found up here on a mountain made out of horn. And you wonder why they make them so big. Well, if you go to camp and you cooked in one kettle and you took our soup spoon, you'd be running back and forth all day to get filled up. Well, they don't take that chance. They're going to be sure to get a good mouthful every time. Then they use them for drinking. Then they use them for grinding up herbs. They'd fill one spoon, take another one and grind them up.
Is that a cross thing there?
Yeah, that's the lacrosse thing. That's how where tennis originated from.
Could you hold it and talk about it?
Oh,
Or is it stuck
it's
there?
wired up.
Oh.
Hell, that's been stolen a long time.
This is, while we're on the subject of arrows, that breastplate there, could you tell us a little bit about what that's made of and how they use that?
Oh, they're made out of bone. They wore in the front for breastplate for protection. Now it would stop an arrow, it would stop the old lead bullets. But when the rifles come in, they were no good in time. There's a nicer one there with the old French trade beads running up through it.
And those other, that piece in there, it looks like a flask, that gray oblong piece, yes.
That's a beater, a mixer. This is petrified shark's teeth. There's some of the scale they use for arrows. This is a hammerstone. These arrows I found all over Connecticut. That's a petrified shark's tooth, yeah.
Did you find that yourself?
Oh yeah, I had a lot of them. I used to give them away. I never thought I'd ever want.
What did they use the petrified shark's teeth for?
Oh, it's when they would die. And the land and deserts went dry. But they couldn't have nowhere to live. And years, thousands of years, they petrified. There's a petrified egg. I don't know what kind of egg it is. I found a nest of them. I give them all but this one away. All I want is keep one.
How exactly, all the different places that you would go, what were some of the places that you would especially think that you would find different curios?
Oh, that's a hard answer. Because when you're not expecting it is when you run out of something. I used to go through the woods and set my compass. And if I come to a gully like in the woods, I'd take out my little hole and hoe off the dirt all out of it, see if I hit gravel. If I hit gravel, I knew there was a spring somewhere there, and I'd take my camera, and if I come to a flat plateau, I took a pictures of them. In the wintertime, I'd pick out where I wanted to go and dig, because I knew there was a camp there.
Mm-hmm.
I had very good luck that way.
I should say so. Now this is
The peace pipe.
yeah.
And, you know,
Okay.
there's a very few people
Okay.
that knows what the real Indian peace pipe looked like. Well, I had a photographic copy of a letter of Roger Williams. He described the pipe, told how the tobacco burnt their mouths and what it was made out of. Well, I was in Norwich, up and back on the flats, back in the hospital, and I dug one up. Here it is.
That's a peace pipe.
Notice this end has been used a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This end hasn't. This is the end the chief of the sachem smoked. Well, when the English and the Dutch went back to the old back and burnt their mouths, so they were making faces, and the old chiefs or sachems didn't know whether they were laughing at or what. But when the Dutch and the English went back to the old country, they started making them white pipes, the TDs. But that's English. But the Indians were very superstitious. And when they stuck it between their lips, it stuck to their lips. So they wouldn't have anything to do with that pipe. They smashed every one of them. The French brought these long pipes in, and the Indians noticed that when they smoked that pipe, they wasn't making any faces because the tobacco wasn't burning their mouths. So they adopted that pipe. The bottom pipe is a sachem's pipe, the top pipe is a chief's pipe, the top pipe there is a sachem's pipe. Now they couldn't carry around with them long pipes. They carried the woodland pipes. This is an old Mohawk pipe I got on the Mohawk River, on the bank. And that's the way I got the little ones, just found them all over different places. This one here is made out of soapstone. That I found up here on a mountain. It's a pipe and tomahawk, made out of soapstone.
Okay, Mark, would you come over here?
Hold it just a second.
Would you come over here and film over there?
This, on the bottom of this top pipe up here, is that mold or something?
No, that's porcupine quill work.
No. On the bottom of this top pipe is like some mildew or something. I don't know if it's old or what, I just...
It might be.
Because if it's there, you might want to clean it. I don't know what it is.
Well, I'll have to take
Yeah,
a
you should
look
look
at
at it so it doesn't grow.
But look what happened to my goddamn job site. They told me that I was getting too warm in here. I ought to cut the heat down. I did. But I forgot it set at nighttime. It goes 4 degrees colder. And I come out and pushed it up. When the heat come on, my tom-toms were all snapping.
Yeah, this one looks like it's going to grow though, so we should clean it up.
Yeah, well, I'll have to do that. But it's a hell of a job. You got to take that metal off. And
Oh, you got to take all this off?
Sure.
Yeah. Now you said that it's a sages or a sachens?
You want to take this?
What's the difference between...
Why don't you grab the pipe since it's only like 20 minutes left on the case or 15?
Okay, now I'd like to get a picture of this pipe right here, a nice close-up of this, because this is the one that he dug up.
And the one, the big one up above it, up here on the mountain.
float, shadows at the back.
Yeah.
All of us are. I'm having a hard time getting it. Can't get that close up on something that small. Here, Ray, you want
Can I
to
try?
I got it.
It's an amulet.
Oh, that's what they hung on around their neck.
What you have on here is an amulet?
Well, they call them bolo ties. And then,
Oh, so that was just a real old, the one
yeah,
over there,
those
and
are
they just
very
put it
old.
around
Made out of
rawhide or
stone.
something?
Yeah, they put it on rawhide. Some of
All right, would you bring the light over here a little bit more?
Please, what were you gonna
them, some of them,
say? The way it smells. We've been doing a lot of that shit all the time. You guys got a lot. Well, those 20 minutes? How much? Too long. And shoot the stuff. And she was breeding the wars, but she wasn't done.
this town I got in a cave up above Clara Martin's homestead at Oxford, Mass. This hat, I was up north in Pierreville with my basket weavers. They run out of sweetgrass, so I went out to help them. And the mosquitoes was biting my head. So at night, the girls wore me that hat. Looks like a cootie hat. Well, I did make them all. The Mexicans used to leave the reed all hanging down, keep the flies off them.
The tom-tom is petrified?
No, it's rotting on the other side. I don't know how old it is.
You want to talk about some of these weapons there?
Which, these?
Yeah, the weapons there.
Oh, I don't know much about them, only what it says on them. I used to pick them up around and I used to sell them, but I kept a few. That's there's a piece of the old North Bridge there, piece of the first White House, piece of the old gunboat Savage, Benedict Adalbert, and a piece of the real Washington Elm. And the old original letters is right with them, each and every one. Washington Elm. And the old original letters was with each and every one of them. A piece of the first White House in America, a piece of the old gunboat, the old North Bridge, the original old North Bridge.
Different types, different shapes.
Oh, they did do that. Some arrow makers had his own way, the same as he do today in making stuff. They make, one man get a patent out, make something, another guy will make a little different, that's two of them. That's the way it is. Because I got quite a fix it up with this.
Pardon me?
I don't want to mix it up with the Indian.
Oh, well, like I said, we can edit out, you know, anything that...
Well, someday I'll have it come up, but I got a box full of stuff in the warehouse, the samples that I made, sold on them. I made the first folded garment hanger, the strawberry holler, the king coat, the hat hook that they use in the schools. Oh, a lot of different things.
All right.
Well, I have one of your strawberry colors in my toolbox.
Moore, I think Mr. Parker sold that to Moore downstate.
What strawberry colors?
Yeah, you make it like that, it's like little tweezers and you pull out the
Yeah,
stems.
I was a French chef.
That first one I made for my mother was that long. Do you know what I used? You got the idea?
No.
The old wooden, what do you call them? Boards that they used to take and pull over to put papers underneath and letters and everything else. And it used to punch its own holes.
Yeah?
Well, I took one of them, and that's when I made the first strawberry hollow. And give me an idea about that being like fingers on each end.
Yeah, I have one in my toolbox.
Yeah?
I never invented it.
The king coat had it. They used to make it where it's screwed into school, and then come out like this, and then down, around, and up. And then they bent all the time, bent. And I got the one up where the wire come out, wound around it, come back through, and then wound around the other. Made it strong, it didn't bend. So I got that out for Parker Wagons, Worcester, Mass. Got that, all of my stuff, put them out.
She was a bright lady, huh?
Well, she'd be doing something. I got out folded mop, first folded mop. And she give me ideas. Oh, I wish there was something like this, something like that. First thing you know, I'd go and make one.
I'll hand it to you there.
Well, that's the Indian. Indians don't. Listen, I brought a bunch of Indians here in Connecticut during the war. And every one of them learned 6 months, when it took most of the white fellas 4 years to learn. They didn't have to school them, but they put their mind right out of that thing until they got it perfect.
What do you think it was about the Indians that made them more receptive to knowledge?
Well, they wasn't given any opportunity. And when they was, they wanted to show how smart they was, so they put their time right to it and stuck right into it until they did it. Well, the fellows I went to school with, they didn't like something, out of hell with it. Made a big difference. Yeah, but the Indians started something, they always finished.
So it was perseverance, you think?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, you didn't get a picture of the
I'd say about
I'm gonna check you there for $20. I'll never get my money from Enfield.
I could go down there and put the bug in their ear for you if you wouldn't.
I've called her up 3 times. And she promised to be up last weekend. I called her up Sunday again. I said, oh, it'll be a week before I can come. Yeah. We kiss it goodbye.
Has it been a week?
Oh, hell, it's been 4 weeks since I got the check.
Have you heard anything more about your prescription for your eyeglasses?
Yeah. March 9th, I got an appointment. The factory's sending us stuff and try it out.
That'll be great when you'll be able to read and watch TV again.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
I really like that that wooden piece over there. Great.
And a funny story to do that. When they got the tobacco.
Yes, proclamation here?
I went to the largest throne of part of America.
Beautiful. What is this? It looks like plans or a diagram for an invention.
Oh, those are the old maps. There's the old deed of Arrowhead. But it's all
Yeah, we got a lot of that already. Try to get some of
How
that
was
stuff.
God trying to read that old deed, you know?
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
just the handwriting alone.
Okay, do a jig, you guys.
I don't want anything in
Let's see how creative you guys are. The best shot of the day.
Don't put me in the picture. I don't want to be in the picture.
You're not.
Balcony on the left and right.